Her son was doing kind of the thing that kids do, putting their arms like in their shirts, kind of even tucked into his pants, and he tripped and he landed. Seriously, the first thing that landed was his face, the very side of his nose, on the corner of their cement stair, just right there. Okay guys, we're talking about comfrey, and comfrey is an herb that is called, traditionally it's called knit bone, and it helps breaks and sprains. And I'm going to tell you how I found it. So my son Matt was snowboarding. He went off of a jump, and when he went off of a jump, he literally just landed on his back, and his entire chest kind of went right, like it caved in and then it popped back out. And what happened is all of those nerves right there got damaged, okay, and they bruised, which those are some really, really sensitive nerve endings. Okay, so everything I was told and everything that I researched said that this kid is not even going to be stepping foot on a soccer field for 6 weeks. And let me tell you the severity. The severity of it is a kid who isn't dramatic, literally not being able to speak loud. He'd be like, Mom, can you help me with, you know, I mean, he was just, he couldn't even speak like at a normal level, let alone like yelling or moving. He was just real stiff and he just couldn't move. It hurt so bad. Those extremely sensitive nerve endings. And so I was like, we got to do something about this, because he's right in the middle of soccer season. In fact, he was kind of at the beginning of soccer season, and he would have really missed all of that season just sitting on the bench. So I started to do a bunch of research, and I found comfrey. And comfrey is known medicinally for, it's called the knit bone herb, okay? And when you grow it, it grows in like very broad leaves. And you can do the same thing that I'm going to tell you today, either with your own comfrey that you grow. You can run to the health food store and you can buy it dried. It's just loose leaf in their containers. Kind of like our health food store has a whole wall of just kind of like loose powders and herbs that you can buy. And you can also purchase it like this. Dr. Christopher's makes it in an ointment, and just looks like that. You keep this refrigerated, and I'm gonna tell you how we used both of these things for my son's injury. Okay. P.S. We used these things on my son, and he was back on the soccer field in a week. 1 week. 1 week. So no doubt in my mind that this stuff works. Another sort of testimonial is I was over at a girlfriend's house, and we were saying goodbye, and they were saying goodbye to us, and her son was doing kind of the thing that kids do, putting their arms like in their shirts, kind of even tucked into his pants, and he tripped, and he landed. Seriously, the first thing that landed was his face, the very side of his nose, on the corner of their cement stair, just right there. And instantly you could see his nose was totally broken. And it was that circumstance that we ran, and we got the comfrey and we put it on it right away. And yes, you probably need to make sure that if it's a broken bone, that it is set before using comfrey. But there's a lot of broken bones that happen in your body, and they send you home and say there's nothing we can do for it. Like if it's a broken toe, they might just tape it to the other toe. Or you could get comfrey on before you get your cast on, and it can help aid in the speediness. Sometimes you have to let the inflammation go down, and you can kind of get that on, and then they can set it, and there's still that active stuff going on, and it can help heal that bone. You can also put it on after a cast is taken off, just to promote and help that bone healing completely and really well. Okay, so I'm going to tell you what I did. I made a poultice for my son's entire chest. And what I did is I took this loose leaf dried comfrey, and I put it in a bowl, and I put some hot, almost boiling water just over the top of it, just barely enough to cover the herb so that it could reconstitute it. And then I placed it in the blender and I blended it until it was smooth. And then I added some flour. And the flour can be any sort of flour. It just helps it form into a paste. Then I placed that into a nylon. Or you can also, for my son, for his chest, I placed it in a tea towel and laid it flat over his chest. And then I wrapped it with plastic wrap or saran wrap to kind of like seal all of the juices in there because it is kind of messy. And then I put a wrap around it to kind of keep it in place. So, and then you try to leave it on for like 5 or 6 hours. So if they can sleep like that, awesome. If they need to just watch a movie or whatever during that time, then great.
That makes a nice, like wet poultice wrap that you can put on any part of the body and then use saran wrap to kind of seal in that liquid and the moisture and let it sit for 4 to 5 hours. You could also preemptively like make this and put it in the freezer and then pull it out when you need it. Let it defrost for a minute and then even use it as an ice pack to help the swelling go down.
And then for the like, I can't have that drippy mess all over me moments, we took this salve, this Comfrey ointment that is already pre-made, and that's when you can just rub that on. Like when he went to school, we just rubbed that all over his chest. And we just kind of did it for like 3 or 4 days, and then we kept up with this one. We just kept putting it on it, and we could see huge improvements fast. Back to my friend's son that landed on the step with his broken nose. We did the Comfrey on his nose, and we could see that his nose was straight. Like the bones were all lined up and everything. So even though we had known it, we could see it was broken. And I don't know if Jen, like, I don't know if my friend like moved it back into place or whatever, but we got Comfrey on it right away as quickly as we could, and it helps with bruising. And so he didn't even get that traditional black eye, and he was healed very, very quickly. She ended up taking him to the doctor just to make sure that it was set correctly and everything, and they were really, really surprised at how well it looked just a couple of days after it had been broken. So for what it's worth, that is the way that Comfrey helped our family. And anytime we have really bad bruising or a break or a sprain, we pop this stuff out and we get it going. So hopefully that tip helps you. If you guys want more tips on living happy and being inspired, please subscribe. I would love to have you follow along.